Welcome to the Beau Show. When news outlets say bombshell, they are just trying to clickbait you so that you'll pay attention. It may not actually be a bombshell, and for most liberal mainstream outlets, what a bombshell is to them is no more than a cap gun pop. You smell a little bit of it and then it goes away. But what I'm about to tell you today is actually significant. And I don't want to use the proverbial term bombshell because it has become hackneyed. But I will say that this is something that you need to pay attention to. It is a revelation. It is game-changing. And perhaps worst of all, it has been going on for quite a while now. In many ways, it proves what we suspected but didn't want to believe. We knew that under Barack Obama that the FBI and DOJ used deliberately false dossiers to spy on then candidate Donald Trump. They did this to wound his energetic campaign and had it as an insurance policy in case he won. This was discovered through the emails and text messages from FBI Special Agent Peter Strzok to his lover, FBI lawyer Lisa Page. This happened under FBI Director James Comey. When Trump actually became president, he fired Comey. Now, you may remember that when Trump told media that he was spied on, they said, "Oh, where's the proof?" scoffing at his allegation. Now we know it was true. But worse, it was based on phony information. To spy, you have to have a FISA warrant to do so. And with the Christopher Steele dossier paid for by Hillary, they were able to obtain it. They had it out for Trump before he ever took office, to dog his presidency from day one. If you remember, it was this information that started the Russia collusion investigation in Congress, which dogged Trump's first 2 years in office. This was the work of political bias within the ranks of the FBI, and in the end, Trump was cleared and Strzok and Comey were fired. Of course, Stephen Colbert had Comey on his show so he could peddle a book. So that's the backstory. We know about Peter Strzok, and that was horrible. But was he just one rogue, biased agent? Or was there more departmental bias? Well, something that was recently revealed. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg recently went on Joe Rogan's podcast and revealed the following.
How do you guys handle things when they're a big news item that's controversial? Like there was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story, the New York Post.
Yeah, we had that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
So we took a different path than Twitter. Basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant. So our protocol is different from Twitter's. What Twitter did is they said you can't share this at all. We didn't do that. What we do is we have, if something is reported to us as potentially misinformation, important misinformation, we also have this third-party fact-checking program because we don't want to be deciding what's true and false. And for I think it was 5 or 7 days when it was basically being determined whether it was false, the distribution on Facebook was decreased, but people were still allowed to share it. So you could still share it, you could still consume it.
So when you say the distribution is decreased,
it got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less. So fewer people saw it than would have otherwise. So it definitely...
By what percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's meaningful. But basically a lot of people were still able to share it. We got a lot of complaints that was the case. Obviously this is a hyper-political issue, so depending on what side of the political spectrum, you either think we didn't censor it enough or censored it way too much. But we weren't sort of as black and white about it as Twitter. We just kind of thought, hey, look, if the FBI, which I still view as a legitimate institution in this country, it's like very professional law enforcement, they come to us and tell us that we need to be on guard about something, then I want to take that seriously.
Did they specifically say you need to be on guard about that story?
No, I don't remember if it was that specifically, but it basically fit the pattern.
When something like that turns out to be real, is there regret for not having it evenly distributed and for throttling the distribution of that story?
What do you mean evenly distributed?
I mean evenly in that it's not suppressed. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because it turned out after the fact. I mean, the fact checkers looked into it. No one was able to say it was false, right? So basically, it had this period where it was getting list distribution. So yeah. I mean, but I think I think it sucks though. I think in the same way that probably having to go through like a criminal trial but being proven innocent in the end sucks. Like, it still sucks to have like that you had to go through a criminal trial, but at the end you're free. So it's I don't know if the answer would have been don't do anything or don't have any process. I think the process was pretty reasonable. You know, we still let people share it, but obviously you don't want situations like that.
This is what I mean by bombshell. The FBI, who knew about the Hunter Biden laptop and knew it was definitively not Russian disinformation, went to Zuckerberg and told them to be wary of any news that looked like it could be Russian disinformation and interference. This prompted Zuckerberg and his minions to reduce posting and spread of this story. We knew that Twitter had already suspended the New York Post's account for posting the story. They were already in lockstep. But now we know why Facebook behaved similarly, because the FBI had essentially told them to. This would amount to deliberate election interference. They knew that if the Hunter Biden story came out, directly tying Papa Joe to Ukraine and China and other business dealings that he said he never had, that it would tank his chances and a runaway victory for Donald Trump. The Biden campaign had already benefited from a Chinese virus that forced Americans into their homes, fearful to go to a ballot box. That was the indirect election interference. But the Biden team capitalized on the pandemic, on the carryover of the Russia collusion narrative, which was false, as well as the Trump-Zelensky phone call and House impeachment. And then they were able to bury a significant story about Joe Biden and his son. That is what you call true collusion by the campaign, the FBI, the media, and big tech. They blew it in 2016 because Trump was somehow able to surmount the false narrative, but they weren't about to let that happen again. So who might have been responsible for all this? Well, who is FBI Special Agent Timothy Tebow? Well, no, he's not the Heisman-winning Florida Gator quarterback, but Special Agent Timothy Tebow was just escorted out of the FBI DC field office, tendering his resignation. Well, why? Senator John Kennedy had some tough questions for FBI Director Chris Wray, and I want you to see some of that exchange.
Mr. Director, who is Timothy Tebow?
Mr. Tebow was, for some period of time until relatively recently, what's called an ASAC in our Washington field office.
He was the Assistant Special Agent in charge?
That's what ASAC stands for. There's a whole number of them in the Washington field office. The structure is there's at the head of the office, and then there's SACs, and then the next level down, there's the level that he was at. And
he has or had been with the FBI about 25 years. Is that right?
Well, now you're testing my knowledge a little bit.
Okay. He was a powerful guy. Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
He was a powerful guy. Is that correct?
Well, I don't know that I would use that description.
Okay. He had no power?
I think every law enforcement agent in the FBI with the responsibilities they're entrusted with has significant power.
Okay. Did he work on the President Trump Russian collusion investigation?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that. Not that I'm aware of, but I can't say that with certainty.
Did he or does he work on the FBI investigation of Mr. Hunter Biden?
So The investigation that you're referring to, and I have to be a little bit careful because we're talking about an ongoing investigation, is being run out of our Baltimore field office, working with the Delaware U.S. Attorney, who's a holdover from the prior administration.
So I'm confused, Chris, with your answer. Did he work, or does he work on the Hunter Biden investigation?
As I said, the Hunter Biden investigation is being run out of the Baltimore field office.
Isn't it true that in September of 2020, Special Agent Beau went on social media and liked a Washington Post article entitled, quote, "William Barr has gone rogue"?
I have seen descriptions to that effect. I have to be a little bit careful about how far we can go in this conversation because of specific ongoing personnel matters.
Well, now you're testing my knowledge a little bit. Touche.